morning, everybody. Welcome to Pain-Free Posture. If you like this, please like or subscribe and you'll get notifications on when there's new classes uploaded. Otherwise, let's get going. All right, take a moment just to feel your feet on the floor and just notice where's the weight between the right and left side. How balanced are you today?
Is taking legal action against actor Alec Baldwin and his producers.
So when we're looking at the ankle, we want the arch to be lifted, the feet to be straight ahead. That would be the ideal position. And then the ankle bones, kind of the inner ankle bone, even or a little bit higher than that outer ankle bone, if that's possible. We don't want to be supinated or overly pronated, but right in the middle. And when we look from the back, we want the Achilles, where the Achilles attaches into the heel bone, to be a straight line. Those of us, you can see I'm a little bow-legged, that exists there. That's something I continue to work on. But if you're varus or valgus knees going in or out or medial or externally rotated in your leg bones, it tells us what muscles you're using well and what might be compensating in and around your hips. So as we look at the foot and work the arch and the muscles like the ones that go to your big toe, your abductor hallucis longus muscle.
Woo-hoo, that's a mouthful.
I know.
Say it again.
And your abductor hallucis longus.
Got it?
Those are muscles that help you break or control the foot. So, and your anterior tib also is controlling how, like, so that you don't just keep going as you would go over. Yes.
Do you feel like the foot should, that all your weight should be distributed evenly on your foot, or should you try to be more on your heels or more on your balls?
Should be in the middle of your foot when you're standing there, but you should be heel kind of outer edge and then wrap around. You definitely don't want to feel a lot of weight into the main part of the arch of your foot, but middle of your foot. And a balance, you're really balanced kind of over the heels a bit, so you may feel a little heavier in the heels.
The reason I asked is I was at the PT yesterday and I asked about my stance and I was trying to adjust.
Start with
she wanted
short
me
foot.
more on my balls, me personally.
Well, as long as the low joints, ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders are going above, so 1 foot forward to the other, bend your knees, make the back foot straight, and just feel as you go up and down into that position, what changes in your posture. Does anything happen to the position of your pelvis as you move up and down, or does it stay stable? And can you notice if there's any change into your spine? And then from there, with that big deep knee bend in the back foot, with the back foot straight, everybody make sure that back foot is really straight. Then lift and press your front toes down into the floor. Lift and press. See if you can feel muscles, not just in the foot, but up your calf and maybe even into the outer hip or hamstring. Maybe even into your glute. Okay, fists and fingers. Make a fist. Feel the muscles all the way up into your shoulder. Spread your fingers really wide. Let that line of muscle all the way up behind the shoulder come into play. So if you have a little bit of rotation in your upper body, this can help turn on that base layer of muscles that would help move that out. And then just do some arm rotations here. So just turn the hand all the way out. Good, spread your fingers really wide. Feel if you can move into the wrist, into the forearm, into the shoulder. Take a breath. Awesome, switch legs. Into your short foot position, back knee bent. Bend deeply. Good, front foot, lift your toes and press them down. Feel the muscles all the way up that leg. Double check your back foot, make sure it's straight. Cheryl, straighten it down a little more. There you go. Yep, fists and fingers. 10 times. And then roll your arms back. Let them turn in the shoulder socket. Since most of us have arms that go this way, we're finding the ones that go back, muscles that rotate into the rotator cuff. Spread your fingers really wide. Hold it open. Can you get one arm to move back more than the other? Feel it. And come out of it. Awesome. Lift your toes up off the floor. Up and down. If you have a wall and it's easy for you to get to, then come back to the wall, lean against it, and do these this way. Anterior tib, toe raises.
So the whole foot.
Yep, the whole foot. Yeah, front foot raise. Check if you're at the wall. I just rolled my shoulder blades back and down a little bit more because I could feel that my right shoulder was sitting in a different position, and that changed what was happening all the way down into my right leg. So feel your shoulders on the wall if you're at the wall, and see if the shoulder blades are lying flat against the rib cage, since you can use the wall to help that happen. Awesome. Calf raises at the wall, holding the wall like this, or just free in space is fine too. Up and down. Bend your knees so that you break up that line of muscles that goes from the gastroc into the hamstring and get into the soleus. Soleus, more outer shin underneath the gastroc, works when the knees are bent up under your toes. Can you go up there and balance? Can you find the connection or feel the connection from the soleus through the fascia into the glute? Does the glute feel even on both sides? Cheryl, stick your booty out. Everybody else, butts out. When in doubt, stick it out.
Gluteal amnesia.
No gluteal amnesia.
Come on, Mrs. Left. Fire.
Yeah, there you go. Come on, talk to it. Get that butt to work.
I've got the booty.
That's because you spend so much time at Alta. Okay.
Why is my pelvis all over the place? Do you want it tucked? Do you want it out?
Stick it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, booty out a little bit.
Stick it out.
Single leg. So 80% of your weight on one leg, 20% on the other. Make one side work all the way up. I want you to see if you can get muscles that are around your ankle that you might not normally feel, deep in the sides of the ankle as you go up there, and hold it up there. If that would cramp almost, that would be great. But stay up there, hold it, find those muscles and come down.
But are we supposed to be really working hard to put this
No,
perpetually lift?
no, it's just a balance. Just a kickstand. Other side. 80% of your weight on the standing leg, 20% of your weight on the other. Up onto your toes. On your straight leg. Find it, go all the way up to your toes. Find muscles that are deep in the calf, around the ankle, even squeezing in at the ankle. That would make your ankle narrow. Huh?
That'd be a first.
That'd be a first. Me too.
I got fatty ankles.
Awesome. Come down onto your hands and knees. Take your knees slightly wider than your hips and come into a quadruped rocking. So as you move back, go right to the place where your body has it's like scouring the hip socket kind of. If your knees are slightly wider, you should be able to get a little bit farther. Coming back right to the place where your tailbone would want to go down. If you have power lifter hips, you might be able to go farther. If you have, I think he said there are Scottish hips or something, Stuart McGill was talking about, different genetics with deeper set hip sockets are gonna have a more shallow squat before the wink happens in the tailbone. So, and some people, that's just because their lumbar erectors are weak to be able to hold it there. So find where it is for you, right where that place is where your thigh bones hit your pelvis and it would want to force your tailbone to break down. Good, back and forth a few times. And who has one hip that feels different than the other? All right, come onto your back. Foot circles, point flexes. As you come onto your back, please come down onto your side and then roll onto your back just so we can practice good spine hygiene. Grab your left foot, stretch your right leg out. And I want you to just gently explore your own hip socket. So,
what are we exploring?
so bring your leg up, explore your own hip socket for a moment. So if you bring your leg up like this, what's your kind of passive, like if you were to think of the head of the femur in that hip socket, where does that go if you gently guide it around? How far can you bend that knee in towards your chest and keep a little bit of an arch in your low back? Where is that place? And then pull it into that spot and then do your circles, 20 circles all the way around, right foot staying straight up and down. And then reverse. Also, I will say Pete's new book came out yesterday, or I got it yesterday, but you can order the revised pain-free book on Amazon if you want to.
That's different from now.
Yeah, a bunch of the exercises are different. Some of these new ones, so the menus are different. The layout is a bit different in terms of how the book is organized. And he really goes after just that we are a stimulus response organism. Point and flex if you haven't started pointing and flexing. And that if you are having pain or having things that aren't healing, that you probably haven't eliminated the cause of that dysfunction in terms of that stimulus. You haven't changed it. So whether that's the habit that you have of how you sit or the position of the bones that is making something wear out too quickly, that if it's not healing, something hasn't shifted. Switch.
We like those shifts.
We like those shifts. Pull that in. And take that knee out, do a little bit of that. Find that place where you can keep a curve in your low back and scour that hip. Feel where it is. Shoulders down and back and circles. I'm hoping to prove that idea right by changing the stimulus I'm supplying to my knee and having it heal, even though it's way better in the last 2 weeks than it has been in the last 3 years. So that's good,
Wow.
good news.
Thanks for taking us on your journey.
Yeah, right? Reverse. Well, and thanks for people like the Knees Over Toes guy that takes things that have been said to us about how to keep things healthy and flips them on their head. Point and flex. So into some spinal stabilization. Check your lumbar curve. Make sure you have even lumbar curve, narrow at your hips, even at your rib cage, in line, and then opposite arm, opposite leg. Come into hip flexion, reach above you, stretch that arm all the way out, and switch. You may choose your level of activation, switching at the top, or letting the arm and leg come all the way down, moving like this. This is a little less demanding for the core. Legs up like this, switching at the top,
I don't understand, but
slightly more active.
activations. There's a skill called Star Trek 1 core, relaxing the engine room.
It's creepy how much they listen. onto your hands and knees and then come up all the way. We're gonna do a knees over toes lunge. I'm gonna use my block. You can choose to use your block. If that feels like it's pushing too much on your toes or out of balance, you could do it with your foot on the floor. But bring your leg forward and take that knee over your toes. Square hips. For those of you that have a big hip flexor fascial connection between the left hip and the left arm, from the psoas all the way up, take your arm up and grab it with the other hand and pull the wrist down and see if that increases the pull through that back hip. Some of you it will, some of you it won't. Show other way, the foot in front of the block.
Oh, the front.
And let your knees go over your toes. Keep going. Go forward. Let that knee go all the way into flexion. We're letting that ankle cheat a little bit to get that knee to do that. Come on out of it. Switch sides. Over toe big lunge. Some of us have imbalanced hip flexors. This is a place where my right hip flexor is much more tight than the left. Feel where it is for you. Take the arms up, flex the wrist back, and give it a pull. And just see, does that have an impact? You can also like reach your whole rib cage and arm up toward the sky. Does that side have a connection for you? Fascial connection into the psoas, all the way up.
I feel like with knee over toe, I get a better hip flexor stretch.
Yeah. Well, and can you even find that back glute? So once we've gotten to the directional muscles, we have those 3 layers. Deep 6, that needs to hold the head of the femur steady in the socket. And then as the hip flexor lets go and you get the back butt muscles to pull the thigh into hip extension, can you actually find the butt muscles? Those are hip extenders. Can you squeeze them?
Back on her?
Yeah, back butt muscles. Can you find the back butt muscles? You could root your tailbone down or just squeeze your glute and see if that will pull that femur back a little bit more.
Yes, it really
Woo! Awesome. Switch sides. Bend into that knee, tuck your back toes under, knees over toes, up and down, 10 times. It's not easy for me.
Up and down?
Yeah? If that feels too unsteady on the block, just do it with your foot on the floor, that's okay too. But you should feel that around those muscles. So when you have a swollen knee or inhibited or pain in the knee, it inhibits the muscle called your vastus medialis, the muscle on the inside of the knee. And so when we do this press up here, you should be able to feel that inside knee muscle really turn on and work to help stabilize that knee. Awesome. Other side.
I feel it in my ankle.
The front one. It's okay.
The front ankle?
Back or front? Yeah, it's okay. Front of the ankle or back of it? On the side. Yeah, that's okay. The side of that ankle are your peroneals, and they are stabilizers of the knee. And proprioceptive muscles, so like they help you find your balance when you're a little bit out of balance. 10 times, up and down. Letting that knee go as far over your toe as your body will let you do it.
Okay, so if this side won't even go, the other side went fine.
Yeah.
What do I have to strengthen? What is it what, on one of the knees that's
Yeah,
doing
and
it?
you might use ski poles or some kind of support to help you initiate that.
So it's in
It's
this
quad.
knee.
Yeah, it's that quad.
That's the one that hasn't been replaced.
So some of that's shut down a little bit.
The one that was replaced went fine, but I can't even get up this way.
Awesome. Okay, find some glutes. Grab your strap. Put the strap around your knees and lie down on your side. You could use a block or your arm to support your head. And then bend your knees.
Your knees are all the way together.
Yeah, a little bit fist width apart, so you can initiate that pull a little bit. So we're basically going to do a clamshell, but with full resistance. So put a little bit of an arch in your low back, and then you can do, this is what Stuart McGill's calling a rake across your abdominals. So you just like turn them on a little bit. Just make sure that that's stabilizing, because if you pull and you get movement in the lumbar spine, that's not what we want, because then it'll get into the spine and not into the butt. And what we want is that external femur rotator. So hopefully the deep six muscles are holding the head of the femur in the right spot. And then as you pull up, we get glute, and the rest of your body doesn't move. Lift and then lower.
So we're at 45?
Yeah, at about a 45-degree angle. And then, yep. And keep the core just a little bit activated so that as that glute lifts, the spine stays in really good alignment. So I said just like the knee, the vastus medialis gets inhibited if the knee is painful. The butt muscles, that's where gluteal amnesia comes from. If you have arthritic hips or pain in the lumbar spine, often we start to inhibit the butt muscles. And when the glutes are neurologically inhibited, the hamstring becomes the hip extender. And the problem with that is that when the hamstring pulls the leg behind you, not the butt muscle, the head of the femur gets shoved into the front of the acetabulum and tends to become arthritic. So the quads get tight, the butt gets weak, and then you keep using the hamstring to take the leg behind you. So to maintain really healthy hips, we need, and back, we need these butt muscles to stabilize the head of the femur so that we get the spin that we want, and the butt muscle keeps the head of the femur back in the hip socket as the leg goes behind you. Does that sound awesome?
Awesome.
Awesome. Do you feel these butt muscles working? Hold it up there, count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay on this side, take that away. Now swing the leg behind you. So that's the goal of this, is that when you come up to go to foot strike and then go back through your stance, that the glute is what's pulling that femur back.
I feel as if I'm in the same position as this strange woman who's playing a studio sweat on our wall. My leg is behind me like hers.
Okay, let's find that medial glute. Put the leg behind you, turn the heel down, push the leg all the way straight. Now we're finding a muscle a little bit higher in your butt. I want you to find some of those core muscles, lift that leg up. Imagine someone is pushing down on the leg and you have to keep it up there. Find this glute that's way up here in your hip. Hold it. Tell me when it happens. Do you got it? Is it shaky? Not quite yet. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Awesome. Other side, use your strap again. Maintain the curves in your back. And then lift that leg up and let it go down. So that initial lift, you can do that kind of raking across your abdominals again, just to activate them so that as you lift the leg, there's no extra movement in the pelvis. It's just work right in that butt. Lift and lower. Hold it up there. Hold. Find it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Release that top leg out of the strap, or take the whole strap off. And go through hip extension. All the way up. All the way back. You can put your hand on your back. Again, I want the butt muscle to pull the leg behind you, not a big new lumbar curve. So lumbar spine can change a tiny bit, but not much as you take that leg behind you. Hold that leg out, turn the foot down, push the leg just behind you a little bit, and then find that glute as if someone was pulling your leg down to the floor and you have to hold it up there with this muscle that's up high in your butt. Hold it, find it, make it work. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Cats and dogs. Oh, I got some crunches in my upper back today. See if you can get any little adjustments as you add that movement. Think of the pelvis rolling over the top of the thigh bones into whatever end range your body says is okay. Stay out of pain. Keep pain-free movement. Full thoracic extension, full thoracic rounding. Take it into a hand leg opposite lift. Hand in a fist, heel pressing back behind you, and do those little squares. Take it back out. See if you can figure out which way you were going and go the other way. And switch. mini cat and dog. And then come up to standing. Reach your arms all the way up towards the sky. Let's do a bent knee forward fold. Uttanasana. See if you can relax your toes or wiggle them around a little bit. Bent knee to start, and just feel as your hips flex. Are they flexing in positions? Do they feel the same on both sides? Does one feel like it's different on one leg than the other? Just notice. Take a full deep breath. Then hands to your hips, squeeze your shoulder blades on your back, use your butt muscles to stand back up. Do it again, this time legs straight. Inhale, reach up if it's okay, if you feel like it's not too much pull on your back. So keeping that curve. And then finally at the end, it can go ahead and go down, press the legs straight, thighs tight. What we've just done is connected the fascial chain that goes from the hamstring, from the calves, all the way up the lumbar spine, even up to the back of your head by putting the knees straight. So as long as your back's not way up like this, then allow that to happen. That can take out a rotation in the pelvis. It can change a disparity in the lumbar erector. It can shift the position of your shoulders. You can just interlace your elbows for a moment and feel that pull. Let your head drop. Where's the pull in your calves and hamstrings? Where's the pull into the hip socket? Big full breaths. Tighten up the front of your thighs again. Let your head drop all the way. Notice if there's tension in that back line somewhere. Tighten up those thighs. Can you keep both thighs tight? That vastus medialis, that muscle on the inside of that knee. Awesome. Come all the way up. Hamstring curls.
Head rush.
Yep. Free high. Okay, stand on one leg. Find your balance. Curl that hamstring all the way up. As you go up, keep this stable so that there's not a big lumbopelvic tilt happening. So knee points straight down to the floor. Curl that all the way up. See if you can get that to curl up all the way so that the knee gets fully compressed and back down. Let that hamstring get all the way short. Release. Switch sides. Take your legs wide. Spread your hands really wide. Bend deeply into one knee. Send your hips back. Find where your body says that's enough. Maybe the adductor stops it. Maybe the glute stops it. Maybe the strength of this thigh stops it. You decide. Up and over to the other side. Let the hip go back. Push through that glute. Come on up. If your body will begin to let you go lower, knees can go over toes, Heel can come up a little bit, heel can work toward the floor. Feel if that's a possibility for you. Wherever you are is totally fine. If that's still way up here, great. Over to the other side. Stop in the middle, hang over, allow your head to go. Think of the legs turning outward, so knees moving that way to let your pelvis have room to go down toward the floor. Squeeze your feet to the midline, find those adductors, keep letting the hamstrings release as the pelvis clears the hips. You can even turn your feet slightly out to allow that to happen. You might find some different hamstring muscles. Be gentle in there. And come all the way up. Walk it in. Standing overhead extension. Spread your feet. Interlace your fingers. Flip your hands over. Take it all the way up. Notice if your rib cage just popped way forward. So maintain good alignment, front ribs in. Let the pull, so little stabilization right here at the front side of your ribs. Let the pull happen through that outer arm. Shoulder blades rotate. Curve in your head. Begin to look up. Keep pulling those arms back. You can really reach your arms all the way to the sky. Let the bottom edge of that shoulder blade rotate completely. Breathe. Press those elbows straight. Push them, push them, push them, push them. Even if you're right here, push those elbows straight. Then pull back a little more. Go into that middle back. And release. Check your weight balance again like we did in the beginning. Just see where are you naturally, heels to toes, and does it feel more even right to left? Hopefully yes. More grounded, more centered. Go ahead and take your meditation position, please. As you come into this few minutes of quiet, we get to bring together the work that we just did on our physical body with your breath. So notice breath. Notice for a moment any programs that you have playing. Even if it's your breathing and your heartbeat and an experience of maybe digestion or hunger or any of those, just notice what's happening in your person for a moment. There's also beliefs and ideas that are also programs that are playing in the mind. playing within the space of consciousness that we are always in. So see if you can allow the experience of those to drift to the background. And notice what arises in this larger space of consciousness. When you tap into the pure experience of your aliveness, of your being, of the essence that fills this vessel, what is that experience? What is that steady, calm space? With which everything else is arising. Can you give your attention to that space? If some aspect of your mind has pulled you to identify with it, come back. Allow that just to shift. Notice that that arose in this space as well, and that you are able to perceive it. So that's not actually you. Come back to just the open, calm space where the mind can settle, and allow your heart space to just be open. Notice the shift between where your attention on what arises with the mind to where your attention goes when you shift into the heart. Since we know it's the most healthy thing to be our own best friend, bring a little loving kindness into your own self, your own body, the space of your own being, today. And if there's something challenging that you're working on, how do you show up as your own best friend? In a kind and supportive way. And then, because we have the power of the group, in your own mind's eye, if anybody needs a little extra support today, just call that in. There's plenty of energy here for that. Support even for being kind to yourself. One deep breath today. And go ahead and begin to surface. Thank you for being here. Namaste.